Hey everyone, Jim here from SI Homes, and we are with one of my favorite clients. I know you're not supposed to have favorites, but Tom has been a strong client of ours for almost a decade. Has had a great story, great success with us, and I asked him to come on just to share a little bit about who he was and his relationship with not only Southern Impression Homes but Suncoast as well. Tom, thanks for being here today.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. I appreciate the opportunity to spend time with you.
Yeah. Well, there's a misconception sometimes, Tom. I know when people are they own real estate like you do now. I think you own like eight units with us or 9 units with us.
Yeah,
Um
10 doors.
ten
So,
doors. So 10 doors with
yeah.
us that, oh, Tom must have been handed everything. He's a trust fund kid. He's this. But you pretty much built yourself from humble beginnings.
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, I started out in a real estate family. So my grandfather started a real estate company in 1928. Six of my uncles and my dad went into real estate after World War II. One of my uncles, up until about 2 years ago, was still selling real estate at 90 years old. But yeah, so my parents were able to retire because when my father inherited $8,000, I take that back. I'm sorry, inherited $1,000 in the mid '70s. He put $1,000 down on an $8,000 rental property, and that was his first rental. And he sold that, bought another one, sold that, bought another one. Eventually, my parents were able to retire with two beachfront short terms and lived a couple blocks back from the beach. And
Wow.
had he not spent that $1,000, which with six kids, I'm sure he could have spent it on 1,000 other things besides a rental property. But he did that out of respect for his dad, and it sort of created a real estate investing legacy in my family. Um, yeah, so I bought my first rental property in 2017. I bought my first ones with you guys in 2018, and like I said, today I have 10 units with you guys, so three duplexes and the rest are single families.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a way for me to get money out of the banking and financial system where stock markets crash by 50 and 60%, and or it's tied up in a 401k, you can't access it till you're real old. And basically with that, I was able to retire at 58 years old, a couple of years ahead of schedule, um, because of the results I've had with rental real estate.
Yeah. And again, you didn't take the real estate route though. You went into flying. So you're a
Yeah,
former Air Force, right? I
yeah,
know from all my Air Force friends, don't you ever say ex-Air Force, it's former Air Force.
yeah.
Yeah. And but you were Air Force and then you did some commercial pilot before going into another business, right?
Yep. So yeah, I was Air Force for about a decade, and then I got into commercial airlines, and I was actually airborne the morning of 9/11. So we
Wow.
landed. We landed before they shut down the airspace, but we spent 3 days in a hotel room waiting to be told what to do, and we were able to get home. But with the downturn after that, the airlines told me to hit the road. So I got into the mortgage industry and had a 20-year run in the mortgage industry before I retired. So I
Yeah.
understand home finance really well, and had some great years, had some very lean years, but using what I learned in the industry to help me get into rental real estate really was a key aspect of my success in that.
Yeah. And I remember when you and I first met and we started putting together your portfolio, you had two goals. You said, I don't want, you know, too much involvement and be planting some seeds so that I can keep flying. That was one of them because that's your hobby, right? I mean,
Hmm.
you are, and you're going on a big flight trip next week to you're keeping that
Yeah.
that hobby going. But then also something that you and I share, on that family realm. I went through the kidney donation with my father 12 years ago, but that's where I think you and I really bonded as friends and clients was Kathy was going through something similar to my father, right? Your wife?
Hmm. Yeah. So Kathy she had a hereditary kidney disease, got sick in 2018, was on dialysis for 19 months, and then 2020, the summer of 2020, she got a kidney transplant. And if you've ever, you saw it with your parents, but when your spouse gets ill, it puts a very different perspective on your life and the importance of time you have, and making every day count, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah,
Absolutely. And shortly after, it was about a year later, you retired, right? Was it 1 year
yeah.
later, or 2 years later, right after the kidney
Two
donation?
years later,
two
yeah.
years later, you were able to. And I remember I showed in a lot of my presentations. Hey, here's Tom. When I had my adoption with my youngest daughter, you emailed me
Hmm.
that day to check on it. And you said, oh, by the way, I just retired from Fairway Mortgage. And I sent that out
Yeah,
to all of our, all the people, close on our team, like Tom just retired, which means the
Mhm.
world, that the properties played a part in that. But it's a big part of owning property to hit that goal for you to be able to step away, to be able to keep flying, to be with Kathy
Mhm.
through all this and enjoy it. What
Yeah.
what is is that the biggest benefit you see from owning rental real estate? Just being able to keep doing those things even after retirement?
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, I was just talking to a friend of mine Sunday night, was over the house, and he's a couple years younger than me, but he's like, how do you know that it's okay to retire? And so we were getting into it a little bit, and everything he has is in paper assets. He's got stocks and bonds and 401ks and CDs, and I'm like, no, you really need to generate some income every month. That's why I like rental real estate so much. That you, and so the first aspect is, having a bucket full of money. If you're just going to spend down that bucket every month, you look at there's less in there, is going to really feel bad over time.
Yeah.
You're going to be constantly worried if you have enough. But if you've got money coming in each month from rental real estate, while those properties are also appreciating and the mortgage is being paid down, that's a triple win, and it does give you that. And then I really feel it's a gift to recognize, like, we have enough. I could continue to work for 5 more years, and we could accumulate more junk, which it all turns into over time. But it's a real gift to be like, what, we can live the lifestyle we want with what we have and what's coming in.
Yeah.
Um, and so, yeah,
And so in time, but obviously the performance of your rental real estate is pinnacle to be able to achieve your retirement. These
yeah,
are an integral part of your financial strategy.
yeah, yeah. So, and with that, kind of, so I got financing on all my properties. I didn't pay cash for them, so I was able to, was just, instead of putting money in my 401k, was saving up to get 20 and 25% down payments. And then you get kind of a steamroller effect. It's really hard for people to buy their first one or two houses typically. And then after that, the third house comes quicker, but now you have some extra money to add to your savings. So you can get a down payment for the fourth house quicker, things like that. And so, my plan is to continue with the mortgages while low rates are locked in. And then when at a certain point, I'll probably, sell some houses, take the extra money and pay off the other mortgages. So I have fewer homes without mortgages at a certain age. And that way I have fewer roofs and fewer hot water heaters and fewer septic systems, without the mortgage payments. But
Without to do it.
yeah,
And what
and
would
then
you say your biggest fear is, Tom, with having these properties? Like, what's your biggest fear as a property owner?
um, so if you look at it, like, so just take a generic property. Say I've got a $1,500 a month rent, and I'm just going to do numbers simply. But let's say it's $1,500 a month rent, and let's say it's 10% property manager, so $150 goes to property manager, $1,000 goes to the mortgage, so that's $1,150. I got $350 left. Well, a hot water heater or refrigerator. I just had a refrigerator in one of my houses with $1,500. You know, garage door opener is going to be 500. So stuff like that. So when you get to that point where you're trying to live off the cash flow, a single broken thing is going to take that property out of whack for you.
Yeah.
Um, but even worse than that is when a property goes empty. We know we're going to spend money to get it cleaned up again and get it rent ready again. And a new construction works really well because you don't have a whole lot of expenses, but you do. But more importantly, is while that house is not rented, you're not collecting that rent check. And so now you still have the expenses, but the mortgage and the insurance and taxes, but you don't have the rent coming in. So, you know, turn times are probably the most important thing to me in terms of how long does it take to get the house rent ready, and then how long does it take to find a client. And kind of to that, if we ask 1,600 and the market's settled a little bit and it's only 1,500, I can't afford to wait 6 weeks to figure that out to get the extra $100 a month. If I got 1,500 right off the bat, I'd much rather have $1,500 on June 1st than 1,600 on September 1st. Right?
Yes, sir.
I'm never going to make up those 3 empty months for $100 a month.
Yeah. So what's the number one thing that you look for in our long-term standing relationship? We're managing a large amount of property. 10 doors is, a significant thing. You've put your trust in
Mm-hmm.
us. What's kind of what have you really enjoyed working with us on, whether it's Southern Impression and Suncoast, and like what's something that we could do better for you?
Yeah. So I tell you, the people that you guys attract to work for you are just great people. Like I've really had great experiences every time. And so when you deal with the same person for a couple of years, they start to become friends, right? And you're happy to hear from them, even if they come and say, we gotta replace something or we got an issue, because you get to know them. So you guys treating your so that they want to stay working there. That helps, right? And then and with that, it makes the communication easier. So um, if a unit's empty for 3 months, the biggest thing I want is for it to turn quickly. But if I can't have a quick turn, at least I need communication. So hey, here's the showings we did, and I've had in the past where like, hey, if you're thinking about doing a rent special, let us know. I'd much rather have somebody tell me, like, hey Tom, we need a you guys manage enough properties. You have a much closer handle on the submarkets in Florida and how quickly things should rent, what prices. So you go, hey, we're going to ask 1795. 2 weeks into it, go, we should do a rent special. 2 weeks later, go, we should drop the rent. You know, like
Yeah.
to
Proactive.
tell me what to do. Yeah, don't count on me to go, gosh, this has been empty for 2 months. What should we do? I'd much rather have you guys tell me that. Like,
Good.
hey, this is what we're doing. This is how we're striving to get this thing rented this way.
Gotcha. So just
Yeah,
initiative and communication. That's two things that really put you at ease.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Okay, good. Well, yeah, we've loved working with you. I know you've also referred several clients to us as well. So there's
Hmm.
not just Tom. There's also many Tom friends now with us too. I'd say probably
Hmm.
at least a dozen people have
Yeah.
built portfolios as well. Would you say their concerns are kind of the same? They've liked the product, they like the people, but they always want a little initiative, and communication goes a long way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good.
So just, yeah, because when the if you're not thinking about it, and most people, like when I started doing it, I was working a full-time job. I had a kid at home and 3 kids in college. I had a wife going through some kidney issues. I didn't have time every day to watch what was going on. I'm not looking at Zillow and saying, hey, how many people have saved this property? How many showings have there been? And it gets away from you when you get 100 emails, however many you get too many if you're like me, but you get a whole bunch of emails, it gets lost in there. You might not realize that the house has been empty. So, really managing that turn, because that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest risk for me as a property not being rented and not collecting rent. The expenses don't stop when the rent stops.
Yeah, mortgage payments still due at the end of the month, right? No matter what.
Yep.
I wish they'd
Yep.
give us a break on that, but I've never in 25 years gotten a break on my
Not
mortgage
yet. Yeah.
payment. So,
Yeah.
well, good, Tom. Well, we love working with you. We appreciate your business. I always love your story, where it came from, what you're doing, the fact that you're with your family, you're flying in your retirement, keeping that passion going, and you put your trust in us. I mean, that means a lot to us. Our team has spoke highly. That's why I'm on the Zoom with you now. But any final words just for the team of inspiration, advice, anything you want to impart to the whole gang?
No, like I said, I like working with you guys. I appreciate you, and it's always good to hear from you and just kind of checking in. And we're open to advice. It's really hard once the home is like while the home is being built. It's really easy to follow along, and you get pictures and updates. But once it's rented out after that first year, if the lease empty, it's you know keeping us. The more you reach out to us and let us know what's going on, the better it is. But and what you do makes a difference to us, because it does allow us to do things that are really important to my family. So you guys are an important part of our retirement plan. You know,
Absolutely. Well, thank you for giving us
yeah,
that chance. We enjoy working with you. We're looking to many more years of a successful portfolio, and
yeah.
we'll be here for you. And I really appreciate you taking the time today.
All right, man. It's always good talking to you, Jim.
Thank you, Tom. Take care.
All right.